everyone, welcome back to Simming History, where we usually look at the history of architecture through the lens of The Sims. But today we're going to let go and have some fun and build a house from pop culture. A house that says, "Thank you for being a friend." The home of the Golden Girls. This one's going to be a little difficult. The set designers themselves admit the house doesn't make sense. Throughout the show, the rooms moved around as it benefited the script, which makes laying out a house that's 100% accurate basically impossible. In fact, there are some things I'm going to have to ignore along the way, and I'll try to point them all out to you. We're going to use the front as the starting point. It's iconic, immediately recognizable, and it's an actual front of an actual house in California, one that recently made the headlines for having sold. And it tells us the location of the garage, front door, and front windows and bump outs. And that gives us a place where we can really begin and start figuring out the layout of the house. Once the front is complete, we can start laying out the living room. We have an idea of where the front door is, but the orientation of the living room in comparison to the rest of the house requires the front door to be on an angle. There really is no other way to make it work. In the back of the living room, there's also a columned area that is raised above the rest of the floor, but we never see them go back there except to use the sliding doors or to go to that back hallway leading to Blanche's room. The rest of the living room is taken up by the very iconic and instantly recognizable rattan furniture with the pink floral cushions. This is the closest match that Sims has. It is at least rattan and pink and floral. So really not bad for the Sims. They also had an end table to one side and a coffee table that changed throughout the series but was pretty much always large and square. There was also a large square poof that sort of moved around the room for people to sit on. The area opposite of the couch is entirely unknown. It's where the crew filmed, so we never see it. We know from the front it has to have windows, and I assume it is a TV corner and it was furnished as such. They filled up the back columned area with very traditional looking chairs and lots of plants. The set designers frequently filled empty spaces with wall sconces, art, chairs, and plants. So many plants. And even an errant door or two, and we'll see that in other rooms as we get there. The living room was actually one of the first rooms designed for the show. When they first designed the set for the pilot, they only designed the necessary 3 rooms: living, Blanche's room, and the lanai. The set designers focused on making the tone and feel of these rooms as Floridian as possible, which may explain all of those plants, as well as the rattan furniture, floral prints, and even the pink plaster walls. At the last minute, they added a kitchen scene to the pilot, so they had to use a kitchen set already in existence. Apparently there's a warehouse full of unused sets. So they went shopping and they picked a set from a Chicago-based It Takes Two, resulting in the kitchen having a Midwestern feel and never quite matching that extreme Floridian tone of the house. The set designers largely credit the kitchen for making the house nonsensical in its layout, but really there are many other things that are wrong. Just wait until we get to the bathroom. The wallpaper in the original kitchen set started off as very brown, which was, very Midwestern. Eventually they did update to a floral print in an attempt, I assume, to make it look more Floridian, which sort of worked. It was certainly an improvement. I obviously tried to match that floral update, but had to use some custom content to do so. We also never see the wall, the table, and the stove sit on. Of course not, it's where the crew filmed, but an oven would never have been floating out there like that in a kitchen. So I've added a wall and an assumed door to the garage. I think the wall serves as a better reason for those only 3 chairs at the table. Seating in the kitchen was always strange. They only ever had 3 seats at the table because they didn't want anyone to have their back turned to the camera. Makes sense. So someone was always either at the stove, most commonly Sophia, or at the kitchen island where there was a stool. The table itself had Chippendale chairs, which sadly I could not match, but it always also had tablecloths, which happily I could match. In fact, a collection of nearly 60 tablecloths were required by the end of production to ensure they didn't clash with any of the ladies' outfits in any given scene. Now I just need to add some wall decor. The set famously, or perhaps infamously, was covered in copper food molds, and Blanche does not strike me as someone who would have covered their kitchen in copper food molds, but I did add a few as a nod. The counter clutter is also added as a nod to the show. The stuff by the stove references Sophia and her Italian cooking, from the olive oil to the wine. By the fridge, there are several baked good items for their love of cheesecake, and in the other corner, there's tea, as they are frequently drinking tea at the table. Finally, this back room I've turned into a laundry room. In a couple of episodes, it strangely acts almost like a back hallway, connecting the bedrooms to the kitchen. That really does not make sense. After the kitchen, we're going to take a look at one of the other originally designed rooms, Blanche's bedroom, which was designed to be wild and romantic, hence the heavy use of fern wallpaper, bedding, and curtains. The set designers cut out all the fern leaves themselves to create the headboard, and the curtains and duvet were custom made to create the right atmosphere. Not the only extreme expense production took on to get everything just right. All the ladies' outfits were custom made for them by the costumer, and Rue McClanahan famously had a clause in her contract allowing her to keep all of her clothing. Blanche's bedroom also is one of the largest sufferers from the set designer's penchant for filling in wall space with doors or side hallways leading off somewhere unknown. For this house to be realistic and make sense, I've ignored the recessed hallway to the right of the bed when looking at the bed, as it makes no sense. Also, I have elected to ignore the 3 doors along the side wall, instead only adding 2. 2 of the doors were always depicted as closet doors, but the third was never explained. The furniture changes in this room throughout the show, especially the chairs, end tables, and vanity. Although the chairs in the corner seating area change throughout the series, they were always pink. Unfortunately, I could not match the bed in The Sims, but I thought this bed had a right wild, fun, romantic, Floridian tone. Her makeup vanity is also an area that changes over time. This one was meant to more closely match the vanity as seen in the pilot. Finally, I added a nice closet behind one of our two doors and a very pink bathroom behind the other. We never get to see the bathroom, but I feel, given the colors and tone of the rest of the room, a pink bathroom with a chandelier and a soaking tub was very Blanche. Now we're going to head into that back hallway that's off the living room, which in the show is quite short and has only 3 doors all at the end. And off this hallway, there are supposedly at least 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, although Blanche's room is even sometimes located off this hallway in a few episodes, depending on script. For this, we are going to assume there's only 3 bedrooms and 1 bath. The back right door is almost always Dorothy's room, although in a few episodes it serves as Sophia's door as well. We're going to assume it is Dorothy's door and Sophia's on the same side of the hall, but closer to the living room. It's really the only way to make sense of it. Sophia's room is the quintessential grandma's room, blue floral wallpaper with matching blue carpet. We only ever see the bed and dresser, but they are both classical, traditional wood furniture, with traditional bedding and knickknacks. The wall above the bed is filled with wall sconces and a traditional piece of art. In the show, there is a door to the right of the bed in a recess. But because it's located in a recess, it's probably not a closet. In fact, the bump out her bed is on is probably a closet in Dorothy's room. But the recess door, no. If that were to be real, it would just be a door in Dorothy's room, which is not a common feature in houses, so I'm ignoring it. Otherwise, I'm just filling in the wall we never see with what I'm assuming is there based off of my own grandmother, a desk, a chair, and a TV. On to the most commonly opened hallway door into Dorothy's room. Dorothy is the educated, sophisticated golden girl, and her room was designed to match that. Over by the window, she's always had this tall, slim dresser, although the location varied, a bookcase full of books, a side table with plants, and 2 chairs. In the show, her bed is this kind of classy rattan, which sadly The Sims does not have, so I went with the classiest Sim alternative. In the show, there's also a louvered door to the side of her bed, another wall filler. Based off of the bedroom's location, this door would have resulted in a closet that projected on the exterior, something that just is not done. Random small projections complicate roofing. Instead of putting in the louvered door, I've opted for a pair of louvered windows. To complete her room, lots of abstract art. The art varied from bedroom to bedroom in an attempt to reflect each individual Golden Girl's character. Rose's bedroom and the bathroom create a bit of a conundrum, primarily because of the rogue filler door in Rose's room, but also the impossible location of the bathroom. In an episode where they're renovating the bathroom, Rose is trying to repair some pipes late at night, and Dorothy comes in and asks, "Do you know what's on the other side of that wall?" And Rose says, "A pipe," and Dorothy says, "No, my head." Based off of what we know for certain regarding the layout and location of Dorothy's room, and therefore bed and where her head would be, locating the bathroom behind her headboard is just impossible. So that moment has to be ignored. The only other thing we have to go off of is the view outside the bathroom window over the tub, which is the same background as the lanai, so that window must point in the same direction. The only place it can go and do that is at the very end of the hallway. Unfortunately, that location also means it cannot be nearly as big as depicted, so I've had to make it smaller. But it is, as you see, still very blue. That leaves only one possible hallway door for Rose's room. Rose's room was designed to be this dreamy romantic and sweet. I couldn't match the wallpaper, which was these really dreamy rosy clouds, but I thought the roses were fitting. Opposite the door is a wall of windows with green curtains. To the left is the bed, and I tried to match the pink rosy romantic tone. To the right of the bed in the show is another filler door, which I'm ignoring as it again makes no sense, based off of the room's location and how it relates to the living room. To the right of the door, there is a wall with two doors and a mirror, which I'm assuming are closets. Rose is also lucky enough to have a whole couch in her room. Again, went as romantic feeling as I could. The art in Rose's room does change throughout the show, but generally it leans romantic, early 20th century romanticism, like Art Nouveau. And finally, the last of the originally designed rooms, the lanai. The location of the lanai is something that is debatable. Sometimes it's off of Blanche's back hallway, sometimes they could access it via the living room. Personally, having it located off of Blanche's hallway makes no sense to me. It further separates the lanai and Blanche's room from the rest of the house, which doesn't really match up with the front. And why would you have sliding doors off the living room if there was nowhere to go? So for that reason, I've located the lanai off of the living room and not the side hallway. The rest is pretty simple. We can tell from the show its back wall is round. There are a bay of columns off of to one side, off of the living room, and there are plants everywhere. They have a table for eating, chairs for sitting, and lounges for sleeping. The Golden Girls saw a resurgence in popularity when I was in college, and I was among that crowd. I remember my mom reading a column in either a paper or a magazine that suggested it was popular among college students because these wonderful ladies were just living their life with no judgment and no inhibitions. For me, my love of the show was simple. It's what was on at 3 a.m. when I was doing design studio work. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely adore Dorothy. And I do have several favorite episodes, pretty much anything involving excellent Dorothyisms or just Sophia being a smart aleck. That's not what she says. What did she say? Including the episode involving the home break-in, because I just love watching Sophia say, I managed to live 80, 81 years. I survived pneumonia, 2 operations, a stroke. One night out Belch and stable Mabel here will blow my head off. And once the lanai is finished and we've added the gates and all of the plants and the lighting, it's time to landscape the rest of the lot. Lots of trees and palms and exotic flowers. The exotic landscaping surrounding that original California bungalow that served as the model is actually the reason why it was chosen. They thought it gave it the right exotic Floridian feel. I hope you enjoyed building the Golden Girls house with me. Let me know in the comments what pop culture houses you'd like to see built, which is really just a competition to see who can pick the most annoying one. You can find me on the Sims 4 gallery and on Instagram at Simming History, where I post teasers for next week's video. Until next time, ars longa vita brevis, and thanks for being a friend.